Do you feel like a fraud? Do you have those little thoughts, you know, the ones back of your head? Are you always waiting to get found out? Are you always thinking, who's going to listen to me? What have I got to say that could help anybody or change them? Well, guess what? You've probably got a good old hooching case of imposter syndrome. I'm Dr. Libby and I've got a degree in neural mechanisms of behaviour. I've got a TEDx badge, having been a TEDx speaker. I still get this. I still have those moments of thinking, oh, hold on, are they actually going to bother? And this is one of the biggest 7 deadly sins. We're here on day 3 of the 7 deadly sins, 7 daily virtues, the push and pull that we need to think about when we go into our businesses as entrepreneurs. And this is a really, really important point. And honestly, this is probably one of the most female-centric conditions. Men have it too, but in a slightly different way. They did a study in 1978 where they looked at females and they were deliberately giving them wrong bits of code in this computer class, and what would happen was the males would go to the teacher and go, this code is broken. The females would go up and say, I can't do this, I've done something wrong. And it was a real interesting experiment that pulls out this fact that females are really struggling these days to internalise their own success. Females have a bigger challenge. There's a brilliant book by Valerie Young called The Secret Thoughts of Successful Women, and this is one of the most powerful things that you can get hold of for yourself. You need to notice when you go into imposter syndrome, because the trick is we all have them. We all have these thoughts. That's okay. What matters is, are you going to live there? Or are you going to make a difference? Are you going to flip your thinking? Because remember, the best 6 inches you'll ever play with, ladies, right here, in between your ears. We need to get the hang of how to run our brains. Otherwise, our brains run us. So when we're talking imposter syndrome, what we're talking about is those little thoughts that are the whispering in your ear of the you're not doing it right. So there's perfectionists, there's people who are like striving all the time, they must get everything right, otherwise they don't believe they've done it well enough. We've got the experts, those that are, you know, desperately trying all the time to learn more. I must know more before anyone will listen to me. We've got those natural genius people who struggle when they think they can't get it easily. They struggle because they are embarrassed to ask for help. They feel they should know this, I should know this, I should do this. We've got the soloist who's determined to do it all by themselves, and damn if they're not going to screw it all up and not ask for help, because that's how it must be done. And then we've got the superwomen who feel they should be doing everything. And these are all really common types and common syndromes that we see. And this comes often it's one little sentence that was said to you between the age of 7 and 9 when we form our model of the world that gave you the impression that to be loved you must achieve. And it's really harsh and it sticks with you. And I coach women all around the world, and I see this everywhere. And I see this in really successful people. I see this in really good flourishing businesses that I coach. And it can be really tricky to unplug those wires in your brain. So for day 3, what I want you to think about, there's 3 things we need to do with imposter syndrome. Number 1, thoughts are like buses. And like buses, if you've ever been to London, England, you know, there's a big red bus and there's a number on the front, and the number tells you where it's going, and you can look at a little route map and figure out where it's going. That bus will take you to a certain destination. You just have to identify, as a thought comes along, will this help me or hinder me? Where's the destination going? Where's this thought taking me? Because guess what? You don't have to get on board. You can pat it on the head and let it go by. It's your choice. The thought will, as I say, I still have this, the thought still comes up, that's okay. But we can choose to let it go by and not get on board. The second thing we can do is we can reframe. So we use the word reframe a lot in behavioural psychology. We can take the thought that we're having and twist it slightly. We can change it. So if you get that thought of who's going to listen to me, who's going to hear what I've got to say, you can change that to, well, I've had X number of years of experiences. I know that I've coached X number of people successfully. I know that I've got something good to offer, so I'm just going to say it and I'm going to see what happens. And that's a classic reframe where you take the event and you make it mean something different. Like we talked about on the Women Helping Women that I did yesterday, we talked about this, you know, you can hear the same auditory stimulus, you can hear footsteps upstairs, and it can make you feel one thing if you know it's your partner, it can make you feel something completely different if you know it's a burglar. Same sound, same footsteps are coming, but different meaning. So we can attach a different meaning to it. And the other thing we need to do is recognise that everyone has these thoughts. Recognise that this is an imposter moment. Have an imposter moment, not an imposter life. And this is probably the biggest message, is that, yeah, the thoughts come along. Yeah, they can be a certain way, make you feel a certain way. That's okay. That's okay. And you can choose what you do with them. So imposter syndrome is a real thing. It's not a medical condition. It is a set of behaviours that we see. And guys, if I can have it, anyone can have it, because I've spent 20 years learning what I learn, and then I still have these feelings, and that's okay too. Just pull that into yourself. And when you get a success, it's really, really important to celebrate it. I know it sounds a bit wanky. I know it feels like blowing your own trumpet, but I went in a group yesterday and I just posted that one of my coaches has invited me to be a speaker in his digital space, which I'm so flattered and honoured by. But why do I do that? Not just to big myself up, not to make everyone go, ooh, look at you, but so that I get a neurological hardwiring which conditions me for more success. Because every time you get a win, if you don't celebrate it, if you don't stop and celebrate that, you get what's called an open loop. And the first bit of any open loop is an energy minus, because you're putting energy in to make something happen. You have a plan, you take action, then you've got to celebrate it, acknowledge what's happened, then you can move on to the next loop, and then it feeds itself. It's brilliant, it's magic. Neurocoaching I love because it's based on science and it's based on what's really happening in your brain. So when I talk about this 6 inches right here, yeah, it's your body can only go where your mind pushes it. And so tomorrow we're going to talk about the daily virtue that's the opposite of imposter syndrome. We're going to come on to how to own your own mountain, how to start hardwiring for success, how to start really believing you can do it as well. And we're going to start pushing those buttons. So thanks for coming along today guys. Really good to see you all here, and I will be back tomorrow, same time, same sort of place, slightly different fireplace from tomorrow, and we'll go on to the next daily virtue we need to know. So speak to you soon. Bye.